Hello everybody and welcome back. As always, I'm Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. Today, we have a special preview of the upcoming story-driven adventure title, Peaky Blinders: The King's Ransom. This game is based on the award-winning TV series that originally aired in the UK and ran for 6 seasons and is now available in the States via Netflix. I'm joined by Russell Harding, the Chief Creative Officer at Maze Theory, and he gives me lots of juicy details on this upcoming title. Now, this video features exclusive content never seen before and has been edited down for brevity, but if you're interested in seeing it in its entirety, there's a link down in the description, and you'll also find timestamps to all of today's topics. Now, interviews are rarely featured on this channel, so I would love to get some feedback down in the comments. And before we jump into it, this video is sponsored by Ultimax, a brand new free-to-play competitive sports title. It's Robots meets Rocket League featuring 1v1 and 2v2 goal-scoring action. Available for PCVR, Quest 2, and Pico headsets, you can jump in on September 15th to experience that action and begin customizing your own personal mech. Ultimax is from Resolution Games, the same amazing studio that brought you other titles like Blast On, Demio, and Cookout: A Sandwich Tale. There's links down in the description if you're looking for some more information. So, Russ, it's nice to meet you. Thank you for taking some time to talk to me about Peaky Blinders. I'm looking forward to this.
Well, thanks for having me. It's great. Thank you.
So, I mean, I could start jumping into a million questions because, you know, I'm always very curious. But I think the best way to just start this is, like, let us know what exactly this game is.
So Peaky Blinders, The King's Ransom is a narrative adventure where with crime and drama at its theme and core, based on the series Peaky Blinders. It takes us in between the years of seasons 4 and 5 and really allows you to become a part of that world. Really, it's a really authentic immersive experience into the world of that gritty underworld of the Peaky Blinders.
So I personally just got into Peaky Blinders myself. I'm not very far into it, so I guess one of the first questions that'll come to people is like, well, if I'm not interested in the show, will I still be interested in this game?
Yeah, absolutely. I think most of us relate to those gangster tropes and those, and I think a lot of the tropes around Peak are quite recognizable to most of us. And I think being in a period of time such as the sort of like late 1920s is in itself is like quite an absorbing experience, being around things that are a little bit more unfamiliar to you, but being actually placed in that world. I think all those things are really attractive. You really don't need to know the lore of the Peaky Blinders to enjoy the game at all.
So no TV lessons.
But if you do, it really enhance it, yeah.
So no TV lessons, no history lessons. But if you are a fan of the show, if you've made it through seasons 4 and 5, you should, you know, really be captivated even more.
Absolutely. I mean,
and some familiar faces will pop up from the show.
Yeah. So yeah, there are some familiar faces. So we were really lucky to be able to work with Cillian Murphy, who reprises his role as Thomas Shelby, who's the leader of the Shelby gang. And Paul Anderson, who plays the role of Arthur, and we worked with him capturing his performance in mocap. And if anyone's a fan of the show, they'll know how much performance Arthur gives, and having that face to face is like quite something in VR, I can tell you.
That does sound exciting. Now, what I'm curious about is the mechanics of this game. So you said it's a narrative, story-driven title. But it's set in this gangster world. Are we going to be running around with guns? Or are we going to be, you know, having narrative options of what we want our character to say? How's it actually play out?
So the way it plays out is, so you as a character, you've been fleeing. You're fleeing a firing squad from over a decade ago, and you turn to the Shelbys, who are looking for some help in finding Churchill's red box, which is a document holder, has lots of information about secret agents. This has been stolen, and in a Shelby twist, you're set out to go out and try and recover this box for Thomas. But as you're doing that, you'll get to explore the environment and the worlds. You'll get to meet a number of characters that will set you some objectives and goals. You'll get to make some choices, some of them slightly dark, because you're always on the side of grey, I guess. You will come across some warring factions. There's always sort of like that conflict within Peaky. So you will come across a conflicting gang and some other enemies along the way. You will wield a gun. You'll probably get to wield a very big gun at one point. But it's very much about sort of like being placed in that world, trying to find, unearth some of the clues around where that red box is, and also some action.
Okay.
This isn't a game that's about like huge amounts of multiple choices, but it does have a couple of very key narrative choices where the player has, I guess, varying degrees of darkness that they can go to. And some of these are quite impactful. I think on you as a player as well, as the decisions you make, and some of the things you reveal in that Peaky way, quite dark, a little bit twisted, and unexpected, I suppose. But it's not a case of like having a vast array of different choices where you don't really get to see the outcomes. These are more poignant outcomes where you feel their impact.
Okay. Now, as far as length of the title, that's something we can reveal. Do we have like an estimate on how long the game itself is?
Yeah, so we think we're around about 4 hours of gameplay.
Okay.
We also know there's a lot of value in exploring the world. So being able to go into that world and just explore it, you'll have opportunity to find some things that are hidden within that world as well. So we really want to encourage replayability, and we do have some features that we haven't yet announced that we'll be talking about later in the year.
Okay.
So
I'm curious about that now.
Give more opportunity to play in the world.
Okay. Now I'm definitely intrigued on that one for sure. Now this is a Quest 2 and PCVR title, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So
our main focus has been on Quest.
Okay.
Because that is the most challenging, in the sense of being able to push it. That's
the direction I was heading in. When you talk about high attention to detail, I wanted to discuss some of the Quest 2 limitations. How has that impacted production? Did you feel limited? Did it make you hold back on some things? Or you could take it from there.
I think the team wish it had made me feel that way. I think one of the things that we found, obviously there's some challenges in the environments that we're trying to reproduce. So Garrison Lane is a very huge scale environment and completely straight. But we have really, really pushed the tech. I think from an art bar point of view, we've really pushed Quest to its utter limits. We have designed some of the environments later on that are more, we get to visit parts of London. That's allowed us to be able to utilize the design of them so that we can put more detail within them. We've tried to keep environments relatively scaled back, but also allowing lots of detail because we want lots of objects to interact with, and obviously that all these things create draw calls, all these put demand on the Quest 2, along with the characters that we interact with. So, I think the team worked really hard and for quite a long time in trying to balance out character interaction versus object interaction versus detail of content. But I think in the way that we structured it, we managed to touch on all of those things. But it's definitely is pushing Quest 2.
Do you have an official release date yet or not yet?
We don't have an official release date yet, but we're in the phase where we're working hard on polishing the game. But I know that we'll be announcing a release date, I think, pretty soon. Okay.
All right. That's good to hear. So sometime this year, we can assume it. Well, Okay, a release date announced this year. You're making me feel like it's gonna sneak in. You're gonna sneak in an announcement, and it's gonna be available soon. That's the vibe I'm getting, but I could be off. So
I mean, for us, I think with Peaky, it was also like we were looking at if we're going to do believable characters, bring characters into VR of any sort, which is quite rare, and it's quite a challenge to go right. Let's go face to face with the character. We wanted them to be really interesting characters, and both Cillian Murphy's character Tommy and Paul Anderson's character are really intriguing characters. Very different.
You have a motley crew of interesting characters for us to experience or interact with. I mean, that in itself is a reason to just keep making IP-based games. Just to work your way onto the studio and into the sets.
Yeah, it's interesting working with. We've worked with quite a lot of talent over the last few years, and it's amazing to be able to bring it, especially to a medium like VR, which, as you say, doesn't have those huge budgets that some of the big games have.
Yeah.
We don't, so we have to work really hard to kind of to draw the talent in, convince them that what we're doing is sort of like worth being worthwhile.
Yeah.
And,
there's still some serious skepticism when it comes to VR. Certain people aren't sold. Certain people still don't think it's the future. Until you give those people, their first real good experience, and then they're like, "Okay, never mind." So, how long have you guys been working on this?
We have been working on it for the last 2 to 3 years. I mean, a lot of that, with during COVID. So, obviously, we were trying to work with the talent. They were trying to shoot the show. Show got, was delayed. It was interesting because we had to work with the talent during COVID and COVID rules. So capturing mocap, getting people into sound studios, everything became a little bit more challenging, especially when you're dealing with personalities and busy schedules. So
I don't know. It feels like the last 2 years almost didn't happen. We're a blur. It's really crazy to look back, and we've dealt with this COVID situation now, for going into 3 years.
I think every developer looks at all of the VR platforms.
Yeah.
And that's again a real challenge for a VR team, isn't it? It's not just delivering onto one platform; you're delivering onto multiple platforms nowadays, and that's a real challenge on small teams, small budgets.
Yeah.
Most big teams will only deliver to one or two platforms, or they'll get someone to port for them. So, but yes.
You guys will look into see if it's cost effective. I understand. I mean, it makes sense. It makes complete sense. Obviously, you'd want as many people as possible to experience your title, but you have to make business decisions at the end of the day. It's completely understandable. But the PC version, I know you said you guys are Quest centric right now, but the PC version, any enhancements we'll see? I assume general frame rate improvements, resolution improvements, but anything specifically to push the PC side further?
I think you'll see a lot more improvement. Well, naturally, you'll see better improvement around sort of like characters and texturing and detail. And I think that we find that a much easier platform as developers to deliver on, because naturally, there's a lot more freedom, even though there are limitations. And, you can blow any budget quite easily. But the reason that we really focused down on Quest was that challenge. Is like, how do you get the best out of a Quest 2? But I think there are a lot of fidelity challenges. I dare say it would be mainly around the visual enhancement and performance that you'll see. Just because you get increased frame rate, you can increase the level of animation.
Yeah, this is obviously a mature themed game. I mean, is it going to be rated teen or a mature rating?
It is going to be a mature rating.
Okay, that's thumbs up for me.
We can't shy away from the world of Peaky, and it is a mature thing.
Now, do you personally feel that kind of hinders you guys on the quest? We talked about how it does have a younger audience right now. Is that a potential fear?
I don't think we're fearful of it. I think we felt it was just important that if we were going to target this sort of demographic or this market, then we have to just be true to the show, true to the audience as to what they'll expect.
I'm all for that. I'm all for that. Sometimes you gotta, if it was to release with a lower rating, then immediately the people who are fans of the show would question it. Then
all the essence of what we really love about it just probably wouldn't be there, and that would be some dumbed down version.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've been going at this long enough. Is there anything else about Peaky Blinders that you just, really want to let people know, that you're really excited for? Anything else you want to share before we call this?
God, I think we've covered everything, but I think we're most excited to start to see people playing it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's when you come to the end of development, you've been so into the detail of everything that's gone, every bug, every kind of like thing that you've created or discarded. Being able to see people enjoy it will be like.
All right, well, I am excited for Peaky Blinders. Looking forward to trying this, letting my audience know my opinion on this title. I wish you guys luck on it, lots of success. I hope it goes well, and I hopefully will be in touch in the future.
Yeah, no, great. Thanks for having me. This has been great fun, and I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
But be true to yourself.
I will. Oh, trust me, I will. Don't worry. All right. Like I said, good luck with everything, and thank you for your time.
Yeah. Thank you. Cheers. Thanks.